Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Cold Night Chats. I foretold that I would be returning soon. It's not quite the next day, but when was the last one? February 7th? It's now February 13th, so it's 6 days later. That's not bad. It's better than 4 months, right? So yeah, it's 11:36 p.m. Current temperature is 57 degrees. See how quick I was with that? Yeah. 11:36 p.m., 57 degrees, so we got a degree on last time, and a few miles per hour extra wind, so yeah. It's very refreshing because it's actually gotten very hot the past few days. In fact, yesterday it was 89 degrees and sunny. Well, obviously sunny, it's the only way it could get that hot, but 89 degrees, that's literally summer in February, so yeah. But yeah, so feels good. I'm not sure if this is a cool front or whatever. I actually haven't, I don't even look at the weather forecast very often. I very rarely do, so I never know, it's like, oh, it's raining now, okay. I don't plan in advance. I'm not one of these people that's like, let's see, am I gonna have to bring an umbrella to work today? It's like, no, if it's raining, it's raining, you know? It's water. It's not the end of the world. I'm not gonna not go to work because it's water. You know what I mean? I've walked to work in the rain before. Yeah, I have to walk. I'm not sure if you know that or not. I park in the parking lot, and then it's like a 15-minute walk to where I clock in, and it's all outdoors and everything. They give me 15 minutes of walking time on my time card, so I technically get paid for it, but I gotta walk 15 minutes, whether it's raining or hot or cold or whatever. It's just how it is, you know. So it's like I never have an umbrella or a raincoat or anything. It's just, I just put up with it. It's like, it's water. It'll evaporate, you know? After 10 minutes, it'll be fine. So, that's just the way I see it. So, weather doesn't really, affect my plans very much. Unless there's something very specific, if I'm going to the fair or something, or a festival, or some kind of outdoor thing that's dependent on the weather, then yeah, I'll check the weather before I leave to make sure it's not going to be a washout or something, you know, before I show up there. But, you know, I never let the forecast ruin my plans. I'll just kind of shift them a little bit, maybe. But, you know, they blow the whistle a lot more than they need to with oh, it's gonna rain, it's gonna be a rain day, and it rains for an hour and the rest of the day's sunny, you know. It's I've gotten better than the Weather Channel at predicting these things, it seems because they don't have actual people that live here that put this data up. It's all machines and just wherever they have the towers at and historical data and all that. But it's a completely different story to actually live here and look up at the sky for yourself and analyze it, you know, and feel the air and you know, just experience it and live in it. Then you just kind of know, you know, you get this sixth sense about it. Anyway, I definitely did not plan about talking about the weather for 3 minutes, but yeah, so here we are, same situation roughly as last time. I'm in my car. I just got home from, well, last time I got home from the gym, I think. I just got home from Fun Spot. I'm right outside the house here, and yeah, the only things that are different this time is I have to pee already, and my battery is at 33%. So, whenever either of those things, and my water is empty, so I might get thirsty if I'm talking a lot. So, whenever any of those things becomes a problem, if I really, really have to pee, or if I get really, really thirsty, or my battery gets to 5%, then we're going to have to cut it off. So that'll be the deciding factor. I will just keep spewing nonsense until one of those factors prevents me from doing so, because that is the universe's way of intervening and letting me know it's time to do something else now. You know, so that's just, I pick up on these cosmic cues, man. That's how I live my life. I just, I keep going until something stops me, or until something, well, stops is kind of a harsh word, you know, until something redirects me, basically. So, and then I keep on that path until there's a new one that I just feel instinctually drawn towards. You know, it's worked out for me so far. That's how I ended up here. And I think my life is exponentially better than it was, say, a year ago, you know, or 6 months ago, or whatever. Obviously, there's, you know, there's growing pains and there's transitional awkwardness and, you know, like nostalgia and all that. But like, if you look at it very statistically, you know, very, very analytically, it's worlds better. And I attribute it to my philosophy of that. So yeah, so because of my cosmic philosophy, I'm going to keep going until one of those things becomes an issue. So it could be 5 minutes, could be 2 hours, I have no idea. But the length of this video, I guess, will be a dead giveaway. So, you know, you had the one up on me in that regard, because you know how long this video is before I even do. You knew how long it was before you clicked on it. So that's just mind-blowing to me. Like, if you're high right now, and you think about that, you're gonna have to pause the video and you're gonna have to sit down with it for a few minutes just to process what I just said. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I just watched the last one back today, actually, which, you know, is something I usually watch my videos back before I upload them, like, you know, to make sure that I want to upload them. But I've kind of not been doing that lately, or at least not with this one. I was just kind of like, yeah, you know what? I trust myself. I trust my past self. You know, I trust my 5 days ago self that I didn't, like, do or say anything that I don't want on YouTube or whatever. Like, I was just, yeah, you know, whatever. And I just uploaded it. I'm like, I mean, realistically, like, what was I going to get? 5 views? You know, I mean, you never know, right? Like, that'll be the one that gets like 1 million views for no reason or something, you know, like, oh, that'll be the video that makes me famous, right? But, so I know, you know, you can't say that, you know, but, you know, so that's really like the first time I can think of like that, like that it just occurred to me, like, when I'm doing this, like, wow, that's like, after I uploaded, I just thought like, wow, that was like a real change in character for me from like the entire time that I've had this channel, that I've like held it to such strict standards, and it had this very specific place in my mind, and, you know, all the videos had to be exactly like this, and it had to, you know, like just everything like that. And now it's just kind of whatever, you know. And so it's a combination. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's some of it is just laziness and just, you know, like not wanting to deal with it, not wanting to have to like put in a lot of effort, or like, you know, like once I make the video, it's done and that's it, and I don't want to listen to it again, because that would take just as long as it took to make it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'd rather just make another episode rather than spend the same amount of time listening to one I already made, you know. But also, it's just because, on a more positive note, I'm not as like OCD about it anymore, you know. Like, I don't get as stressed out about it anymore. And that's just, I think, an overall lifestyle change for me, is I just, like, I don't take things as seriously or as personally anymore. And that doesn't mean, like, that's not some kind of like nihilistic statement or something. Like, it's not some kind of like edgy Rick and Morty kind of thing, you know. Like, that's not what I'm getting at here. I'm just saying, like, things just kind of roll off my back anymore, you know? Like, now, before I go too far into, you know, toot my own horn about that, I will admit openly, as a disclaimer, there is still anger inside of me. I have not completely purged myself of anger, and living in Orlando has admittedly reawakened some demons, I guess, for lack of better wording, that have been dormant for quite some time, that I was just kind of like, I just, you know, didn't really have a reason to come to the surface with the life I was living. And then I move up here, and it's just like, because of the whole environment of the city, Orlando, it's like, it's very easy to be angry living in Orlando. And that's something, like, if you visited Orlando, you're probably very confused by it, because like, isn't Orlando like the happiest place on earth, right? Isn't it like a magical, you know, paradise? And it's like, that's what they want the tourists to think of it. But once you actually go into like the non-touristy areas, and you just like, where it's all locals and stuff, and you know, when you're working and commuting and, you know, driving is one of the biggest ones, and like interacting with people, whoever it is, a cashier, a you know, an attendant, a police officer, you know, like, you know, whoever, just like any just person there, it's very easy to be angry, and that's, a lot of people are, you know. And so for me, it's kind of found myself in this thing of like, I kind of justified some of the anger at first, because I was like, well, I mean, of course, there's always going to be the, oh, well, you know, he started it or whatever. Like, oh, well, it's, you know, like, it's just me reacting to this wrong thing that this person did or something, or they, you know, they're the bigger jerk than me or whatever. Like, of course there's that in the moment. But then there's also just like, well, that's how everyone else acts. I'm just blending in, you know. There's very little like hippies here. There's very few just calm, chill people. 99% of the people I've encountered in Orlando so far are very high-strung, very hyper, very like ultra sensitive, and just like on edge, you know. So it's just like, well, I gotta blend in. So I think it's kind of subconscious. It's just my brain being like, is my defense mechanism of being in a new environment, you know, is just like, subconsciously, it's just like, you got to blend in. Like, that's my go-to defense strategy, you know, to not be noticed, of like, wait a minute, you're not from here, wait a minute, you're not one of us. It's just like, just act like them. So if they're just, you know, being a-holes to each other, then yeah, that's what you got to do, you know. But of course, since I'm not from here, and I'm not like that all my life, and that's not my history and my background and all that, it came across very unnatural and very like jarring, you know. It's like, and it felt out of character for me too, you know. It's like, I was so surprised that like I'm having these outbursts and everything. I would process it afterwards and be like, wow, where did that come from? Like, I'm not even that upset about this or that, you know. Like, it's not even a big deal. Like, why did I, like, you know, like, why did I make it such a big deal in the moment? Like, it's not, you know, whatever. And so, yeah, so that's something that, like, I kind of just wrote off as being, you know, not really a huge issue. Like, I obviously, if you asked me, I wouldn't have said that I'm an angry person. And I don't think I was an angry person overall, but I just had, like, it's just very, like, surface level things that just, like, every once in a while something would rub me the wrong way. And things always do rub me the wrong way. It's just I would never go out of my way to express it. And, you know, living here, that's just what people do, you know. So that I started doing it. And just every time somebody did something that I didn't like, I made sure I had to tell them about it right then, and tell them how much it bothers me, and, you know, like, you know, what they should do instead, and, you know, what I would do if I were them, and all that. And it's just like, you know, people don't want to hear that. So naturally, people are going to react with hostility to that, because even though it's a behavior that they themselves participate in, you know, negative, you know, evil is afraid of itself, ultimately. And I think anger is a negative emotion bordering on evil. Depending on the day, I might say anger is evil, you know. So it's, you know, negative people don't like people that remind them of themselves, you know. So, like, they're not going to want to, like me, I don't like people that remind me of my past self and things I don't like about my past self and all that. And there's been people in my life that I've told that to, you know, some very close people, actually. So, you know, so yeah, I actually almost died a few times, like getting into like fights that would get like physical and escalate. And I'm not a fighter person. I'm not gonna like punch anyone or like anything like that. I'm a pacifist, so I believe violence is never the answer. But it's just kind of scary to me in retrospect, like that I would have these like impulses to hit people or to like do these terrible things, like push someone off a railing so that they break their spine, or like these are actual examples of like things that went through my mind that I was contemplating. And it's like, man, you need therapy, man. You need counseling, because these are not good thoughts to have. You shouldn't be thinking of these things. And so yeah, I think, and it's all about honesty, that's why I'm even, saying any of this, is because I think it's important for me to, if I'm talking about the good things, and I'm talking about the bad things too, I would say I've calmed down quite a bit in recent weeks, because at the end of the day, I still meditate, I try to eat healthy, I exercise regularly, I try to get my sleep, I take multivitamins now. That's something I never used to do. I started that like 3 weeks ago now. So I take those every day, and I think that helps to, like, it's better than a man-made medicine. I mean, it's technically man-made, but it's with all natural ingredients. You know what I mean? It's better than like these like factory or lab-made like prescription medications, for like, treating bipolar disorder, or, anger or depression or anxiety or whatever. I find that, and it's having a bit of a delayed reaction, but I think, now it's starting to like kick in, mostly where my like highs and lows are kind of leveling out, not to like a point of just like, where it's just like gray and, where it's just like fuzzy, not like that at all. I don't feel like high or anything. Or I don't feel medicated, basically. And I think that if I was on some kind of prescription medication, I would feel medicated. I would feel like, like not myself, And I feel that kind of sometimes when I have like Kratom, for example, is something that I've used in the past to deal with intense emotions, when I was feeling extremely depressed or extremely anxious or extremely angry. That's more rare, but it's happened once or twice. Or like, extreme excitement even, I would just take Kratom, and the more I had, the more it would just kind of become this loud static. Is the best way to describe it. And if I had like 15 grams or so, which is like half a bag, then you just like, I would feel like the neurons in my brain would like disconnect, basically, so that like the neurotransmitters wouldn't even be able to convey like negative emotions. And I estimate, I've never taken any prescription medications or anything, but I assume that the feeling is something similar to that, where just like your neurotransmitters are just like incapable. Like I would literally look for stimuli that have like always successfully triggered depression in me, or triggered anger, or triggered anxiety, and I would feel nothing towards it. I would just be in this state of just like kind of euphoria, but just, mostly just calm, just like, just peace, like nothing was bothering me, no matter what. Like I could have literally just been bawling my eyes out, and then I take this Kratom, and I'm just like, yeah, it's all good, man, and like, that's it. And I would just feel like that until it wore off, and then I go back to feeling, however I felt before. But yeah, so, so I estimated something like that. So with the multivitamins, it's nothing even close to that. I don't feel like there's any change in anything like that. I just feel like it's natural because I've talked about this before, but I believe mental illness is a form of physical illness because the brain is part of the body and it's a material substance, and neurons and synapses and the transmitters and all that stuff is like actual matter and actual physical things, and inflammation of the brain is actually the #1 cause of things like depression or anxiety or anything, different parts of the brain being activated or failing to activate at the wrong times, not being active when they're supposed to or being active when they're not supposed to, or an excessive amount of activity in one part of the brain or not enough in another part, So, and that's a result of chemical imbalance. And where do these chemicals come from? They come from our diet, That's what it boils down to. So, if you take care of your body, you're also taking care of your brain. If you have a headache, drink water, exercise, meditate. You know what I mean? Like, these are the solutions. Most people, they'll just take aspirin or Tylenol or ibuprofen or whatever. That doesn't fix anything. That doesn't get to the root of the problem. It just masks the symptoms. The inflammation is still there. It's just you're blocking the pain receptors, because that's all people care about is the pain. They don't want to be in pain anymore. But the problem's not going to go away. You're going to have another headache tomorrow, and and you're going to need to buy more medicine. So by the way, I feel the need to make this disclaimer now. I'm not a licensed nutritionist, okay? I'm not one of these PBS pledge drive people that come up there and talk about their book and, their PhDs in neuro nutritional research or whatever. So I just want to get that out of the way. I'm not, I didn't go to college for any of this. This is not, so... Yeah, this is not legal advice. This is not nutrition advice. This is not advice. This is just me talking about myself and the way that I live my life and my opinions. Opinions. That's the key word here. These are opinions. My opinions. They are not, I'm not claiming these to be fact. So now I'm legally off the hook. You officially cannot sue me if you try my strategies and they don't work for you. Because, there's billions of people on the planet, and if everybody did the same thing, we would all be robots. So our difference in choices is what makes us unique, and therefore what makes us human. Anyway, so, yeah, I just find it kind of, because, yeah, I just think a chemical imbalance is the result of most mental illness, and I'm not saying that if you live a healthy lifestyle that it'll completely eliminate things like depression or anxiety or anger or whatever, because for some people that's just a part of life. It's just something that you're born with, and it just, but I do think that these conditions are very much amplified by just a poor lifestyle, a poor diet. Well, diet encompasses all of lifestyle, I guess, but malnutrition, lack of exercise, lack of healthy sleep, excess of stress, and failure to effectively process stress and all that, so just things like that, I think, just make it thousands of times more intense than it needs to be, or that it would be otherwise. So I think that if you live a healthy lifestyle, then it's manageable. No matter how severe it was before, I think if you change your lifestyle and you really, really concentrate and try hard and be persistent and keep it up and never slip up for even a day, and you live a relentlessly healthy lifestyle, I think that, or I know from my experience, I know for me it's the case, so I'm hoping that it's the same for you. I encourage you to try it. You don't have to. I'm not telling you to, but I encourage you to. I think that it will, no matter how severe it was or it is now, I think it'll be manageable to the point that you can still live not only a functional, but a happy lifestyle. You can you can wake up every day and say, boy, it's great to be alive. You know, I'm looking forward to today, another day on this beautiful planet with these beautiful people, you know, and it doesn't have to be this like over the top, like whimsical, like I love everybody kind of thing, just going around high-fiving and hugging everybody. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be that dramatic, but it just like, you know, you're not just like a mopey sad sack anymore, basically. Like, you don't dread life. You know, you don't get up in the morning and it's like, I don't want to do this today. You know, like, you just like, you know, maybe you'll just be neutral about it. Maybe just be like, all right, it's whatever, you know. I don't know. But I definitely think you can't go wrong living a healthy lifestyle, and I think that these things are very undervalued in just mass society. It's just like, it's not very high on people's priority list. And I think it should be number one. Because, like, literally, what else is more important? Tell me. What's more important? You know? Your job? School? You know, your kids? Whatever? Well, guess what? You won't have any of that if you don't live a healthy lifestyle, because some kind of disease or illness or plague or whatever is going to come upon you, and you're not going to be able to do any of that. If you're in the hospital, if you're having surgery, if you're, you know, disabled now or something because you, like, let something that was a very simple solution just fester and escalate out of control to the point that it just devours you and overpowers you, well, guess what? Now you can't do anything. So where's your priorities now? You know, people's priorities change real fast when they have a near-death experience, you know, or when there's like serious medical issues. But the point is, an ounce of prevention's a pound of cure. Don't let it get that serious. So I'm lucky that, you know, at such a young age, I'm taking my health this seriously, you know, at 18 years old, because I know there's not a single other 18-year-old that I've personally met that really cares too much about. I mean, you know, sometimes they'll care about certain areas, but then other areas of their life is just like, wow, what a double standard. How can you be all right with that, you know? Like, they'll eat healthy, but they won't exercise at all. Or, you know, they'll exercise great, but they don't get their sleep, you know? Or they get their sleep, but they're terrible at dealing with stress, you know? Or they, like, there's always some kind of shortcoming, you know? But I'm the only one, it seems, in my age bracket that I've encountered. And I know there's 7 billion people, so I know I'm not the only one on the earth. I don't think that. I'm just saying, you know, like, of the people that I know in my age bracket, I'm the only one that, like, values each of these individual things equally and prioritizes them, you know? And it's above all else. Because that's the goal. That's what's constant. Until my death, for the rest of my life, my health is a part of me, and it affects every facet of my life, you know? So, everything else is transient. I can lose my job tomorrow. I can lose my friends tomorrow. You know, I can lose my car, or my house, or, you know, my money, or whatever else. But my health, that's something that I have more control over than any of the other things. Of course, there's still factors outside of my control. Of course, I could still die randomly from, you know, anything else. Or, you know, like, there's still going to be things like, oh, you ate a radioactive tomato and now you have cancer or something. Like, yeah, you know, those things still happen, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't care, you know? I don't know. That's just the way I see it. And again, I had no idea I'd be talking about health for 25 minutes. That, like, I don't even make bullet points for these things. And, like, see, I thought I would be talking about my upcoming trip, because I'm leaving tomorrow on a skiing trip, a winter-themed trip up north to the land of snow and sorrow. Basically with the goal of seeing snow for the first time in my life. That's right. You don't have to rewind. I'll say it again. Seeing snow for the first time in my life. I have never walked in snow before. I've seen pictures of snow and videos of snow, and I have experienced below freezing temperatures, but I have never, like, physically immersed myself in a snowy landscape. I've seen, like, snow flurries a little bit, but they didn't, like, stick to the ground, so I don't count that. But yeah, just, like, straight up, like, actual winter. And we're gonna go skiing, and we're gonna go ice skating, we're gonna go snowmobiling and sledding and all that fun stuff. Snowmen, snow angels, snow shoveling, snow plowing, you know, slipping on the ice, chopping ice, you know, doing donuts on the ice, you know, ice fishing, no, not fishing, but, you know, falling in the ice, breaking the ice, melting the ice, melting the snow, drinking the melted snow. You know, I don't know. There's all kinds of fun stuff, I'm sure. But it's gonna be for a week or so. So, you know, since that's like what's on my mind, because I'm like basically packing for that right now, I thought that that's what I would spend the majority of tonight's episode talking about. But apparently not. Apparently I'm talking about all this other stuff. And now that I said that about the trip, I don't really feel the need to say anything else about it. I don't even know what to say. It didn't happen. I'll probably have a lot to say about it afterwards, you know, like talking about how the trip went. But since I didn't go on it yet, I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's winter themed. We don't have like a day-by-day agenda or anything. I'm going with my dad. We're driving. That's about it. You know, I'm trying real hard here, you know, and that's a red flag. You shouldn't have to try. These things should just come naturally. So I guess that's not what I'm supposed to talk about. So that's okay. That's surprising. Okay then, so what else is on my mind? Well, what did I do today? Let's give a recap. I went to Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. So I requested off starting today because the original plan is we were supposed to leave either last night or this morning on our trip. But, you know, with my dad, he's coming down from Pennsylvania to come pick me up and stuff, and he encountered a lot of delays on his way and everything. Got caught up in what he called a blizzard while driving, you know. So, you know, he's running a little late. And has some errands to run still and all that. So we're probably going to leave tomorrow morning. But, yeah, so I requested off starting today because that was the plan, and then once he texted me that we weren't going to leave today, I was like, well, I have the day off anyway, so I might as well do something. So I went to Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, which is about 70 miles from Orlando. So, you know, with no major traffic, it's like an hour and 15 minutes going the speed limit. But during the day, with just the volume of traffic, like there's no accidents, there's no construction, there's no like rain or inclement weather or anything. It's literally just the volume of traffic. It took me 2.5 hours, which is double as long as it should take to get there. And like, it's not like this is a one-time thing. It's literally like that every time. Every time I go to Tampa or Daytona Beach, especially Tampa, but you know, there's more traffic on the western half of I-4, I noticed. But you know, that's not to say the eastern half is a piece of cake, because it's not. I've been bumper to bumper in Sanford and Deltona and all that stuff too. So don't think you're safe there either. But it's just more common in like Lakeland and Polk City and Clermont and stuff. Not downtown Orlando. No. Don't get me wrong. Downtown Orlando, where it's a speed limit of 50 and there's exits and ramps every quarter mile and just like constant lanes starting and ending and just random places and just complete chaos. Like, no, traffic moves along just fine there. But then, you know, once you get to like by Clermont, where the exits are like 8 miles apart, you know, and it's just 3 lanes and it's a nice long straightaway and it's flat and, you know, there's no ramps or anything, then it's just stopped. It's just gridlock. Just for what? I'm looking when we start moving again. What was there? Was there an accident? Was you know, like, what is? Nope. It's just random. Okay. You know, it's not, like I said, this happens every time. It's at a different mile marker. It's not like it's the same part, but at some point between mile marker 75 and 45, you will be stopped on I-4, regardless of what lane you're in. Every lane has its turn to stop, and I mean stop on I-4 in that 30-mile radius. I don't know why. Now, at night, it's not as common. It still happens sometimes, so I don't think you're off the hook 2 a.m. going through Claremont or Polk City or whatever. You know, it can occasionally happen, but it's not as common. So my way back was actually pretty smooth. I didn't have to stop or slam on the brakes. I was actually able to go the speed limit the whole time, so that was refreshing. But yeah, so it took me way too long to get there. And it shouldn't have taken me that long. But so I finally got there. Arguably the two best rides, SheiKra and Montu, were closed. So that was disappointing. But yeah, everything else was... Oh, get this. The Flume ride was closed for the season. Like, it was drained. But Congo River Rapids, which is like a super soaker water ride, was open. Explain that. Why would, like, the Flume, you get maybe splashed a little bit, but the River Rapids is like a soak to the bone water ride. So I don't understand the logic there. And also that has way more track, and it's like way more expensive to run and everything. The Flume ride is very simple. It's just it's a chain lift and a drop. That's the entire track. You know, it's not, I mean, you could have one person run it, you know? So you know, whatever. But anyway, so yeah, I was able to get on the other four though: Cheetah Hunt, Cobra's Curse, Tigress, and Kumba. Oh, and Falcon's Fury. It's not a roller coaster, but it's a thrill ride, so I'll put it on there. But yeah, I also went on the Bumper Cars and Sand Serpent because I'd never been on either of those before. So yeah, why Busch Gardens? Well, because I haven't been to... ironically, I've been to the Williamsburg one way more times than the Tampa one now, which is just so hilarious. But the Tampa one I've actually only been to twice. I was there once 4 years ago with like 5 other people, and it's just kind of a blur. And then I was there with my dad 10 months ago in April, that when they did the Florida State Fair. We did 2 days at the fair and 1 day at Busch Gardens. And that I remember more. But, you know, we got there late, you know, of course, and everything. So we didn't even get on everything. We went on like 3 rides. But we got to walk the whole park. So now today, this is really my first time like having a full experience there. And I still didn't get on everything because the two roller coasters were closed. And, you know, whatever else. I mean, like I said, since it took me so long to get there, I didn't even get there till it was 5 o'clock by the time I got to the entrance. And they closed at 8, so I had 3 hours. But yeah, so I keep it on a rotation, like on my days off where I go. I did SeaWorld one time. That'll be next up, I guess, because it's been a while. I had a really negative experience at SeaWorld the one time I did go, but I don't think it's entirely the park's fault or anything, so I'm willing to give them a second chance. I just kind of want to override that memory with something more positive, and I feel like the bar has been set really low now, so basically whatever day I choose to go, I think it'll be better than that. So, yeah, if it's not, then I'll have to say it's the park's fault. If you have 2 negative experiences in a row, then it's got to be the place. Or the people you're with, but if I'm going there by myself, then, you know, whatever. But anyway, so yeah, it's all on a rotation. I was just like, you know what, I get free admission to Busch Gardens as a Universal team member, so yeah, why not? It's only an hour, right? No. Maybe an hour and 15 minutes back, but not on the way there, not during the day. But, yeah, no, I still don't regret it. I still think it's worth it. I wouldn't go there like every week or anything just because it's a little bit too far away. But I'd go there like once a month for sure. And before you ask, no, I didn't get on Iron Gwazi because even though it is open right now, it's only open to platinum members. And I'm not even an annual pass holder. Like I said, I just get free admission as a Universal team member. So I don't have any entitlements. I don't get any food discounts. I'm not even supposed to get free parking, but they gave me free parking today for no reason. I didn't even ask. There was people at the booth, and there was a line of cars, and each one I saw, you know, hand the cash or the card or whatever, and then it was my turn, and I was digging my wallet out of my pocket, and the girl was just like, "Hey, do you have an annual pass with us?" And I said, "No, but I'm a Universal team member, so I know I get the free admission." And like, I was reaching for my wallet. I wasn't trying to make an excuse or anything. I wasn't trying to like avoid paying. I didn't, you know, like ask anything. Like, I was fully admit, like, okay, you know, I still got to pay for parking. The park's got to make its money, you know. So, and before I could even get to my wallet, she was just like, "Oh, well, you know, you're not supposed to get free parking with that. With your team member ID, it's only supposed to be free admission. Parking's $30, but I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and let you through this one time, but like, just so you know, for next time, it is $30." That's just like, okay. Thanks. And she's like, "Yes, you can go ahead. Have a nice day." Like, all right. So, you know, I mean, one observation I've made about Busch Gardens as a company for both the Tampa and the Williamsburg location, but I would say more so the Tampa one, is they try to get every cent out of their guests as possible. Like, for example, the water fountains, you have to look for a water fountain to find one. At parks like Disney and Universal, you don't even have to think about it. It's just like, oh, cool, there's a water fountain. You'll pass 3 water fountains before you're even thirsty again, you know? Like, they're just so abundant. There's, like, always one in sight, pretty much. Like, you know, even if there's not a bathroom around, there's a water fountain, you know? And, like, Busch Gardens, it's, like, only by 1 in 3 bathrooms, and it's, like, around the back of the bathrooms or something, you know? Like, they're always in these, like, weird, like, alleyways and crevices.